McDonald's right on the desk.
Oh, no.
No, he's got it.
Good evening, board members and residents. I'd like to call to order our regular board meeting for Monday, April 28, 2014. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All set? Okay. Mr. Witt, will you please take the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Brado? Here. Mr. Capral?
Here.
Mr. Swikowski?
Here.
Mr. Tominello?
Here.
Mr. York?
Here.
Mr. Witt? Here. Mr. Verkest?
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, including approval of the regular board meeting minutes of April 14th, 2014, approval of the bills in the amount of $390,478.92, approval of the March 2014 revenue and expenditure report, accepting the donation from Vance Loftus for a park bench in memory of his father to be placed along the bike path on South River Road between Prentice and Emmerich, approval to execute the 2014 county's annual dust control program agreement to provide 2 brine applications in the township not to exceed $8,000, the treasurer's report, and concurring with the full-time elected officials to purchase the repair parts for the Vactor in the amount of $2,052.71. I'll make a slight clarification. Item 7, concurring, it was actually concurring with the supervisor and the finance director, not the full-time elected officials. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
We've got a motion by Mr. York. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Swikowski. Discussion, board members? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next is the approval of the regular agenda. Are there any corrections? If not, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the regular agenda as presented.
So moved.
So a motion by Mr. York with support by Mr. Capral. Discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next is announcements. I've got a few announcements. The Harrison Township Public Library is hosting multiple events. Local author W.L. Bush and the Harrison Township Public Library will be celebrating National Poetry Month on April 30th from 6 until 8 p.m. Light refreshments will be served. Free Comic Book Day will be held Saturday, May 3rd. Come and get your free comic book, Compliments of Liberty Comics, and from Roseville. Story Hour will be held Saturday, May 10th from 11 a.m. until noon. The story being read this month will be We're Making Breakfast for Mother by Shirley Nitzel. All Things Lavender is going to be held Wednesday, May 21st at 7 p.m. Registration is required and refreshments will be served. To register for these library events, please call 586-329-1261. You can also stop in the library and sign up. And remember, for all of these events, children must be accompanied by an adult. The Harrison Township Environmental Committee is hosting their annual Boat Town Nautical Coast Cleanup on May 17th and May 18th. For more information or to pre-register, please call 586-469-4848. Due to a concern of the residents and a previous discussion of this board, a road committee was formed to explore the current condition and possible improvement options for our local roads. A workshop will be held on Monday, May 5th at 7 p.m. right here at Rosso Hall to discuss the findings of the engineer and road committee. A public workshop will also be held Monday, May 19th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. right here at Rosso Hall for the purpose of discussing a waterfront redevelopment plan. The waterfront district surrounding the intersection of Crocker Boulevard and Jefferson Avenue along Lake St. Clair features a dense concentration of marine-related uses, but lacks a defined sense of place or identity and needed to establish a destination waterfront district. We've initiated a planning process, as you're aware, through the grant that was received, the Coastal Zone Management Grant, to identify, prioritize, and develop a strategic action plan for investments that will assist in the overall redevelopment of the district. Everyone is invited to learn more about the study and share their opinions about the future of the area. All are welcome to attend. Thanks to all who helped and participated in the Let's Move Festival of Races this past Saturday morning. Thanks to the residents who showed patience. Thanks to the Sheriff's Department that did an excellent job in handling the traffic. We look forward to another successful event next year. And as always, for information on these events and all township events, you can call the supervisor's office, 586-466-1445, or visit the township website, harrison-township.org. Are there any other announcements?
I believe there's going to be a Grand Prix car at the coastal cleanup too.
A Grand Prix car?
I believe that they're going to trailer one in and have it on display.
Uh-huh.
From what I hear.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes that sort of thing falls through, but they're telling us that there's going to be a car there. So
Yeah, good. Yeah, something to see
Yep.
at the waterfront park.
I don't know. I'm
Okay.
not sure I don't think they specify where.
Okay.
So
All right, any other announcements? Hearing none, next on our agenda is item B1, appointments. One appointment to the Noxious Weed Commissioner and reappointment for Deputy Noxious Weed Commissioner. Board members, due to the retirement of Mr. Parak, there is a need to fill the appointment of the Noxious Weed Commissioner. Also, Mr. Steven Sternicki's current term as Deputy Noxious Weed Commissioner is set to expire May 14 of this year. I would recommend the appointment of Mr. Joseph Maples as the Noxious Weed Commissioner for a 2-year term to expire May 14, 2016, and the reappointment of Mr. Steven Sternicki as Deputy Noxious Weed Commissioner for a 2-year term to expire May 14, 2016.
Make that
Mr.
motion.
Chairman, move to appoint Mr. Joseph Maples as Noxious Weed Commissioner for a 2-year term to expire May 14, 2016, and to reappoint Mr. Steven Sternicki as Deputy Noxious Weed Commissioner for a 2-year term to expire May 14, 2016.
All right, there's been a motion made by Mr. Switkowski. Is there support? Support by Mr. Tominello. Discussion, board members. Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, board. Next on the agenda, item C1, presented to us from the Building Department. Per the policies and procedures, the Harrison Township Board of Trustees shall annually establish standard payable amounts for weed cutting. The proposal is to continue with the same rates established actually that we've had, I believe, in place for the last 2 years, and use the same weed cutters.
I make a motion to approve the weed cutting costs for 2014 and approval of the weed cutters.
All right?
Do I need to read the whole thing or?
I don't know that it's necessary. It's a repeat of previous years. There's been a motion made by Mr. York. Is there support?
support.
Support by Mr. Caprell. And again, this is a renewal of the list that we've had for the prices we've had in place for the last 2 years and the same companies. Discussion, board members? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda, item D1 is from the clerk's office. Mr. Witt?
Yes, we've received a request from Wolverine Fireworks Display and Lake St. Clair Metro Park for their 2014 fireworks show to be held on July 2nd, 2014. They've completed the state's application, provided their certificate of insurance in the amount of $5 million, with the township listed as an additional insured as required. Fire chief has reviewed the permit and has no objections. The only requirement is, again, that they have one ambulance and one fire engine staged on site and dedicated to the event. That cost associated with that is paid for by the park. In addition, the fire department is going to conduct a walkthrough and just make sure everything is safe prior to the event. But we would be recommending to execute the permit for Wolverine Fireworks.
All right. Any
Is there a motion?
any discussion, board members, or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve to execute the 2014 permit for fireworks to Wolverine Fireworks Display Incorporated for the Lake St. Clair Metro Park Fireworks event scheduled July 2nd, 2014.
Support. Got a motion by Mr. Witt, with support by Mr. Brado. Discussion, board members? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. We're certainly grateful to the Metro Parks for putting on a fabulous show within our borders with no cost to us. Next on our agenda, item E1 from the Treasurer's Office. Mr. York?
Yes, at the last board meeting, we had on the agenda, the senior account bookkeeper in my office is retiring, I believe June 8th is the day. Per that motion, we posted for the position of senior account bookkeeper. That ended last Thursday. We had 2 internal applicants, and talked to both applicants, and the person that we're going to bring forward is Andrew Troyer for the position of senior account bookkeeper, I believe beginning June 8th.
Okay, so she wouldn't be put into that position until June 8th?
Well, normally what we do with the internal applicants, we sort of work together between the departments, just like we did with Lucy. You know, being someone that works here, you know, someone's not very busy, you know, they slip out for a few hours here and there and come over to the other department and do some training. And obviously, it's much different when you have an outside applicant. You'd want to bring somebody in early, but with the internal candidates, it's always worked out that we sort of have one foot in one door and one foot in the other, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right, so would there be a need to, pay some sort of acting rank while they're in that position, or how does that work if they're?
We have not done that before. I mean, they're really not doing the job, they're just training to do that job.
Okay. All right, and then what about, we'll say since it's an internal applicant, I know that it isn't a part of this agenda item, but perhaps so that we don't lose time, we may want to afterward consider posting the other position.
Correct.
But we'll handle one issue at a time. I don't know if there's further discussion with the board or if there's a motion.
When would this be effective?
I would think, as of right now, June 8th.
I mean, her appointment then, Angie, would be effective June 8th?
Yes, when
Okay.
and/or when the current person retires, how about that? It's still up in the air.
Sure. Yep. Yep.
I mean, if the other person decides not to retire or whatever, then obviously, so, then we wouldn't promote somebody if,
Yeah, so maybe an appropriate motion would be that the promotion would be effective on the vacancy of the position, which we anticipate could be June 8th, but certainly at this point, we're not certain. But we would do what we could to begin that training process prior to that.
absolutely.
Okay? All right.
So I guess I'll make a motion to promote Angie Troyer to the position of senior account bookkeeper effective June 8th of 2014 and/or when the current person retires.
Might I propose instead of
And
saying
that
it's
is all,
effective?
that'll be after June 8th.
Right.
That's the first date.
Well, but I guess I would say, I think it would, I might propose a friendly amendment to say that It would be upon the vacancy of the position, because if
That's
we
fair.
name a date, you
That's fair.
could get stuck with that, so.
That's fine.
So would you change, we'll just say effective the vacancy in the senior account bookkeeper position in the treasurer's department?
Well, absolutely.
Okay.
It seems fair. Yeah.
Got a motion by Mr. York, is there support?
Support, Mr. Chairman. I guess I would add too that maybe we add that in accordance with the terms and conditions of the collective bargaining agreement.
Yep, I think that's a reasonable amendment, would you support that?
Sure.
All right. Discussion, board members? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, we have a motion by Mr. York with support by Mr. Switkowski to promote Miss Angie Troyer to the position of senior account bookkeeper in the treasurer's office, effective the date of the vacancy in that office, subject to the terms of and conditions of the current collective bargaining agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
All right, I guess since that vacancy came out of one of my departments, I'm gonna make a motion to
Well, you poached
allow.
Lucy.
Well, that's fine.
Come on.
You know, I'm happy for Angie
Sure, of
to get a
course.
promotion. I think she'll do great in the position.
Absolutely.
So it's good for her, but it's a loss for the accounting department. But I would just I'd make a motion for permission to post the position of account bookkeeper in the accounting department internally, and if there's no internal applicants, to allow us to advertise externally.
Support.
All right. And again, the idea being that since this is an internal spot, the union does allow for certain bumping, as you might understand, so this is pretty routine. So we've got a motion by Mr. York, with Mr. Witt, with support by Mr. York, to post and advertise the position of account bookkeeper in the accounting department internally, and if there are no internal applicants, to advertise externally as well. And I know this wasn't a part of the motion, but obviously that recommendation would come back to this board for approval. Discussion, board members. Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, we are finished with the regular portion of the agenda. Next is public comments. If there's anyone in present that wishes to address the board, this now is the time for public comments. Seeing no public comments, we'll close public comment and move back to any board comments.
Mr. Chairman, recently, I had my residence up for sale. My home has been sold, and as my wife and I will be relocating out of state, I guess I must relinquish my seat on the Board of Trustees. My last day, official day, will be May 13th of this year. I'll save my public comments, farewell comments, for the May 12th meeting. Thank you.
Okay, well, I can say, not for your purposes, but for mine anyways, I'm disappointed to hear it, because you're certainly a well-serving and respected member of our board. Having said that, I certainly respect your will for you and your wife to relocate, and for that, I guess I'll say congratulations for you. And in light of that announcement, I'm just thinking here, what is an appropriate action for this board to take? This would follow the same process that we've had twice with this current board, or the majority of these members, where, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Huth, there's an appointment process that this board can take, and independent of that, if we can't make a decision within a certain period of time, so many days, then it automatically goes to an election. Is that true?
That's true.
Okay. So the last two times that we've had a vacancy, the board has solicited applications from interested qualified residents for the position. And I think we've had a special meeting to review those, allow anybody who comes in to interview, and then vote to approve a candidate. So I don't know if that would be the will. I guess I'm looking for a little discussion. Obviously, this is not an agenda item, but
Well, I think, just follow the process.
Right.
When, I think when Mr. Swikowski resigns, they'll officially make the opening. I think the word will get around and we can, I can't remember the last time if we said we're soliciting,
There was a,
applications
there was
for
an
2
advertisement
weeks or-
process through
or-
our,
or a
through the
month or
TV
whatever.
and the website. But I think this house is sold. I mean, it's pretty much a done deal that we're not gonna be like, May 13th, you're gonna change your mind. It probably makes sense to get that
Yeah.
Well, we
out
can
there
let
as soon as
people know,
possible,
I mean,
yeah.
right.
And then we, once,
To the extent that we could, I guess the question would be, if we're aware of it now, and so because the point was made, I mean, what is your certainty at this point of that vacancy?
100%.
Okay, so in light of that, I guess I would question if there's any reason, I mean, the duration that we might solicit or accept applications can be discussed. I don't know that we're in a hurry to do it, but if we're aware of the vacancy, it would seem the responsible thing to begin that process now and go about the business of posting and advertising that vacancy so that any interested party can apply. Does that seem, I don't know what the will of the board is. There's probably two things here. One is, if and when we advertise. The second is, when do we take action? I don't think we want to say that, well, we're going to do it the day after tomorrow. I mean, I think that's irresponsible. We've got time.
And we have a quorum. It's not to diminish anything, but it's not a job that's every day.
Sure.
So, do you
Yeah.
remember how long I honestly don't remember how long if anybody wants to put in
Well,
a
let me
thing,
ask-
go ahead. I don't think we're gonna refuse any.
Yeah, it was a busy
know.
time for us. Do you recall when you were
But
appointed?
it seemed like it was like in February, wasn't it? February or
Okay.
March, something like that?
Okay,
It seemed like it happened pretty quick.
okay.
So,
Well, Tony won
I-
in November, and it was or I think it was January.
The January 10th meeting, I was appointed.
I think we
Yeah.
had. I
Yeah.
think we left. I think it'd be reasonable, 3 weeks. I think
Yeah.
for people to get the word out.
Right.
I don't think.
Yeah,
that'd be
we wouldn't want to
unreasonable-
take action. I don't think we want to take action at the next board meeting, because
can't really
you
take
can't.
action.
Right,
Yeah,
but, I mean, I think that if we were to advertise for the next 2 weeks, we could conceivably look at a date sometime after the May 12th meeting to consider it, right? I mean, that isn't.
Mr. Verkest?
Yeah.
What you may consider is having a motion tonight to accept the resignation effective that day after the following meeting.
Okay,
And then that way you'll know the 30-day clock has started that day after, I think.
13th was his last day.
13th.
Yep.
So then you know you have 30 days within that window to make that
appoint.
appointment.
right. Would it be reasonable to also make a motion to advertise and accept applications from residents? In other words, is there a reason we have to delay that process?
There's no reason to delay, it's whatever your preference is.
Okay. Well, what's the will of the board? I don't
I
know.
think if anybody, as the word gets out, if anybody wants to
Yep.
put in for the position, I don't think anybody here is going to refuse.
No, I guess the difference though is I don't want the word to get out. In other words, I think we want to take an official action. If it means posting on the internet and on the TV, I think that would be responsible.
I think that's the
Right? I mean, it wants to be
It's fine.
public.
I think
30
that's acceptable.
30 days would be, you're talking May or June 12th would be, after the conclusion of the 13th. So it's within that time frame that we would have to make our
We
decision.
would make an
And
action.
it's,
So,
we
and
have
so
a
our
on the
meeting
8th,
would,
right?
our meeting would be the 9th of June.
I think in the past though, we've done this through a special meeting.
Yeah, which is fine. I'm just saying, looking at the schedule.
To make a final decision by June
I mean, if we said like,
at the latest.
we set a deadline for receiving these applications at some point and then leave ourselves some time. Because we might sit down and talk to people and have them, have them in a workshop and say, you know what, we need to look at people again. I don't want to be.
Yeah, you don't want to be up against
sitting
the
here on
deadline.
the 11th going, whoa, I have to pick somebody.
Absolutely. So,
I think if
just
you
to
did
re,
3 weeks, right? I mean, if we do 3 weeks from today, that still gives us 3 weeks to make a decision.
Yeah.
I think that seems reasonable, right?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I mean, there's no, I suppose if we were to act too fast, there's the potential for some liability or the appearance of impropriety. I don't think 3 weeks is, I think that seems like a lengthy period of time,
Well, you have 2 weeks till
till it's even actually vacant.
it's vacant, so
Right.
that leaves another week after that.
Yep.
And we have plenty of time to do whatever.
All right, so then the first motion, as recommended by Mr. Huth, would be a motion to accept Mr. Switkowski's resignation effective May 13th of 2014. Is that correct?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Supervisor.
All right, that's Mr. Tamanello. Is there support? Support by Mr. Caprell. Discussion? Hearing none and seeing no public comment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
If I would have said no, would you have
Yes,
stayed,
maybe I
Jack?
should
You
have-
know? I mean, is that all it takes?
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose, we were a little hasty in that vote. I should have really contemplated it more. It's not that. That's not my hasty vote was not a reflection of my desire to see you leave.
Neither is
I
mine.
wanted to say
Correct.
nay.
Yeah, I didn't make the motion, Larry did, just for the record.
Neither is mine.
No, I know, I'm sure that's clear. And then the second issue is maybe a motion to advertise for the next, advertise the vacancy for the next 3 weeks through the cable channel and the internet.
And then
CNG newspaper, I'm
just
sure.
and just to follow that up, maybe to direct my office to schedule a workshop at which to review the applications and conduct any interviews.
I think that's right, yep, because we're gonna, a workshop or a special meeting?
Or a special meeting.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we'll use a special meeting.
Right, so would you be willing to make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to advertise and accept advertise for and accept applications for the soon-to-be vacant trustee position for the next 3 weeks, and to direct the clerk's office to schedule a special board meeting for the purpose of reviewing applications and interviewing applicants. Yes,
Okay, all right, and that obviously would be after the 3-week period.
yes.
Yep, so I've got a motion by Mr. Witt, is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Caprell. Discussion? Oh, you know what, I will say, I don't know that it's necessary, and somebody mentioned CNG. It wouldn't be my intent to pay for some ad. I mean, an article may be written about it, but at this point, I
I
think,
would agree.
I think the cable channel and internet, and I'm sure maybe some.
I think that's
yeah.
fine.
I was referring to, I'm sure that there'll be a,
ad.
CNG will do a
Yeah,
nice
an article.
you
Sure.
know. I'm sure it'll be a front page article.
See, that's the reward
You know,
for printing the
that-
news,
that's-
they don't get an
that's-
ad.
Yeah, that'll be the front page news.
Right, Oh, well, it's certainly a well-read paper
Yep.
in our community.
Yep.
All right, any other discussion?
Certainly gonna be tough shoes to fill, that's for sure.
That's correct, right. Hopefully, though, he takes his shoes with him.
Yeah.
Right, all right, we've got a motion, hearing no other comment and seeing no public comment, we have a motion by Mr. Witt with support by Mr. Caprell to advertise the soon-to-be vacancy for a 3-week period, and to direct the clerk's office to schedule a special meeting to interview the applicants. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next is adjournment.
So moved.
There's been a motion and support to adjourn at 7:30. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Meeting over. Thank you, board.
7:30.